This is the former National Security Council official, Brett McGurk. He worked for George W. Bush, for Obama, and for Biden. Here's what he said on CNN 29.
And just finally, as we look to diplomacy, there's been so much back-channel diplomacy going on over the last week, and it's my understanding now that the negotiation that will probably start with Iran fairly soon has a bit of a deadline because the Europeans are prepared to use a power called snapback. They can snap back all international sanctions between now and October, but they have to do it by August. That power expires under UN Security Council resolution put in place with the JCPOA, the Obama-era deal. And the Europeans are saying, it's my understanding, that if Iran thinks that it is going to maintain a secret stash of highly enriched uranium or it's going to threaten to leave the NPT, they are prepared to snap back sanctions. So the diplomacy has a bit of a deadline. Look, bottom line, this is about the best place we can be. I give extremely high marks to this national security team and President Trump for managing this crisis and given where we are. But now let's follow through. There's a chance for diplomacy here, not only on the Iran side, but also in Gaza. Those talks are also going on back channel. In Cairo, there's a Hamas delegation there. Try to get that ceasefire in place. And you can come out of this in a place that is far better than we would have anticipated 10 nights ago.
The silence was deafening in CNN studio. Stephen Miller on those who said the attack would lead to World War III, 24.
Well, let's just take a moment to think about how historic this moment is and what President Trump has achieved in this 12-day war. Presidents going back to Bill Clinton have said it is the policy of the U.S. government not to allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. But under every president except Trump, Iran marched closer and closer to being able to put onto a ballistic missile a nuclear warhead that could take out an entire city. That has been the direction Iran has been going in year after year. President Trump took action flawlessly through the United States military to obliterate Iran's nuclear sites and to stop them through the use of military force from having a nuclear weapon. It was a bold, courageous action, and it happened without a single leak, without a single solitary service member losing their life. Everyone said, who was a critic of this action, that it would lead to World War III, and instead we have a ceasefire, and instead we have the beginnings of a new era of stability and peace and security in the Middle East. President Trump, once again, has demonstrated that he alone has the wisdom, the judgment, the strength, and the courage to see this nation through the most dangerous challenges we face around the world.
And President Trump shared a series of texts between him and the NATO Secretary General. Trump is in Europe meeting with NATO, who praised Trump on his attacks on Iran and furthermore praised Trump putting pressure on the allies to increase their military spending. I'm going to talk about that, the latter, later on. But for him to praise President Trump's attacks on Iran, Mr. President, dear Donald, congratulations and thank you for your decisive action in Iran. That was truly extraordinary and something no one else dared to do. It makes us all safer. End of quote. His name is Mark Rutte. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it, R-U-T-T-E. He also, as I said, praised Donald Trump for pressuring NATO to pony up more of their GDP for their own defense. I'll talk about that later on in the program. As for the notion that the MAGA world is going to be upset with Donald Trump for bombing these nuclear sites, new poll finds 9 in 10 MAGA voters support Trump in the strikes. 76% strongly support it. 14% somewhat support it. 82% call the attack, quote, a smarter, more limited operation that can achieve U.S. objectives without leading to a wider war. So, according to this poll anyway, 9 out of 10 MAGA supporters are backing the strike on Iran. Charlemagne the God, on whose program I appeared, blasted the politicians claiming that Donald Trump acted illegally, given the fact that they were silent when Biden and Obama authorized strikes without going to Congress for approval. Number 38.
This is one of those times where politicians sound like hypocrites, because Mark Kelly is right. Presidents should get congressional approval, but there have been a bunch of presidents who have ordered strikes without congressional approval. Barack Obama did it against Libya. Joe Biden ordered strikes in Iraq and Syria without congressional approval. Bill Clinton did it to, was it Kosovo? I think you pronounce it. So presidents ordering military action without congressional approval has become pretty routine. So is it always a thing when they do it? I'm just asking. I don't know.
Just asking. I don't know. Stephen A. Smith also has been a critic of President Trump, and here he is saying that if Iran had a nuclear weapon, they would in fact use it. Number 27.
I don't like war. I don't like war involving America. I get that part. But I do believe that if Iran had a nuclear weapon, that they would use it. And I do agree that you can't allow an enemy of the United States to have a nuclear weapon. It's that simple to me. Having said that, I want to preface the comment by saying I stand by everything that I say if it's absolutely true. And let's not sit here and act like there aren't questions as to whether or not that is true.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.